How to outsmart anyone. 5 rules for total dominance. The subtle power of true intelligence. Imagine a scenario where you possess an undeniable advantage in any setting, be it a crucial business negotiation, a delicate personal conversation, or simply navigating a social gathering. What if you could consistently hold the upper hand, exert influence, and guide outcomes, all without resorting to shouting matches, aggressive tactics, or feeling the need to constantly prove your worth? This isn't about being confrontational, it's about a profound level of insight that allows you to quietly outmaneuver even the most sharp-witted individuals in the room. Your strength wouldn't come from possessing more facts or a higher degree, but from a superior ability to observe and deeply understand the dynamics at play. Many people mistakenly believe that intelligence is primarily measured by an IQ score, a vast repository of facts, an impressive list of academic degrees, or the eloquent use of complex vocabulary. However, true outsmarting prowess has very little to do with how much information you've memorized or how many qualifications you hold. Instead, it's inextricably linked to your capacity for understanding people, not just others, but also a deep comprehension of your own inner workings. The stark reality is that the vast majority of individuals operate on what can only be described as mental autopilot. They tend to react impulsively to situations rather than thoughtfully responding. They often prioritize speaking and asserting their views over truly listening, driven by an almost desperate urge to be perceived as intelligent, respected, or powerful. Ironically, in their haste to project strength, they inadvertently expose their deepest weaknesses and vulnerabilities with nearly every word they utter, every gesture they make. Consider this crucial insight. The truly intelligent and strategic individuals are not those who dominate conversations with endless chatter. On the contrary, they are often the ones who are quietly observing. They possess an uncanny ability to read between the lines, picking up on unspoken cues and underlying intentions. They master the art of deliberate silence, allowing it to expand and fill the space in a way that can make the other person feel compelled to fill it, often leading them to inadvertently reveal more than they intended. Such individuals never lay all their cards on the table prematurely, because they simply don't need to. They understand that a single, precisely timed and well-executed move is far more impactful than a flurry of unfocused actions. If you have ever left a discussion replaying the conversation in your head, filled with regret and the thought, "I really should have said that," or "I wish I had handled that differently," then this understanding is precisely what you need. This approach isn't about manipulating or deceiving anyone. It's fundamentally about gaining a clear and comprehensive understanding of how interpersonal dynamics and strategic interactions genuinely unfold. It's about empowering you to recognize the subtle plays in the game of life, so that you are never again the one being played. Over the course of our exploration, you will learn to outsmart anyone, not through displays of arrogance or aggression, but through a refined application of strategy, heightened awareness, and unwavering precision. You don't need to be the loudest voice in the room, nor do you require the most extensive experience. Your essential advantage will come from developing the capacity to discern what others actively seek to conceal, and knowing precisely when to make your move for maximum impact. Let us now embark on this transformative journey, the inner game, mastering your own mind. Before you can even contemplate the art of outsmarting others, a foundational step is absolutely critical. You must first learn to outsmart yourself. This notion might initially strike you as counterintuitive or peculiar, but it holds a profound truth. The genuine battlefield, where influence and advantage are won or lost, isn't typically found in a high-stakes boardroom, a tense courtroom, or across a negotiation table. The most crucial arena for conflict and mastery resides squarely within your own mind. If you fail to exert control over your own volatile emotions, your wandering thoughts, and your immediate, often impulsive reactions, then inevitably, someone else will step in and do it for you. Pause for a moment and consider this deeply. Every instance where you allow yourself to be triggered, every time you surrender to the impulse to lose your temper or become defensive, flustered, or personally offended, you are, in essence, relinquishing your power. You are effectively handing over the reins, giving another person the implicit ability to manipulate your responses and pull your emotional strings. And once an adversary understands they can reliably elicit a predictable reaction from you, they have already secured a significant victory. That isn't a display of strength, it's a glaring exhibition of predictability. And in the intricate dance of strategy, predictability is a profound weakness. True mental mastery isn't about suppressing feelings. It's about possessing the profound capacity to pause, to create a critical space, even when every fiber of your being screams for an explosive reaction. It means maintaining your composure and holding steady when you are subjected to intense pressure, when your ideas are being challenged, or when you feel pushed right to the very brink of your endurance. It's impossible to truly outthink someone else when your own unruly emotions are doing all the thinking for you. This is the unfortunate reality for most individuals. Their feelings often hijack their rational judgment. Unchecked anger, deep-seated insecurity, paralyzing fear, and an inflated ego can all conspire to cloud your perception, distort your judgment, and lead to poor decision-making. Observe the people who genuinely command respect and seem most powerful in any given environment. They are not necessarily the loudest voices, the most overtly charismatic personalities, or even those who exude the most overt confidence. Instead, they are the individuals who can unflappably hold their ground, who don't flinch under people scrutiny, and who feel no inherent need to constantly prove themselves or justify their existence. This remarkable level of inner stillness and unshakable calm stems from profound discipline and rigorous mental training. You train your mind in much the same way an athlete trains their body, through consistent, small, and repeated challenges. When someone cuts you off mid-sentence, do you immediately snap back with a sharp retort? Or can you maintain your composure and respond with measured calm? When you feel that insistent urge to correct someone, primarily to protect your own ego, can you instead lean back, let the comment pass, and understand that deliberate silence can sometimes be infinitely more powerful than the temporary satisfaction of being right? Each and every interaction presents a valuable opportunity to refine and sharpen this vital skill. The undeniable truth is that the moment you permit someone else to make you feel small, provoked, or frustrated, you have already forfeited your strategic advantage. At that point, you are merely reacting to their agenda, rather than leading or controlling the narrative yourself. Those who seek to manipulate or control you actively thrive on such reactions. They meticulously study your tells, searching for any subtle cracks in your emotional armor. Your emotions, unfortunately, are often the easiest weaknesses for them to exploit. This is precisely why the journey to outsmarting anyone fundamentally begins with profound internal control. It starts with cultivating an intimate knowledge of your own emotional triggers, understanding them far better than anyone else ever could. Because the instant you become fully aware of your vulnerabilities, you can consciously choose to protect them. You cease to stumble blindly into challenging situations, and you stop giving away precious pieces of yourself merely to feel seen or validated by others. Take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, what genuinely makes you feel insecure? What specific types of comments or personalities tend to rattle your composure? And, most importantly, why do they have that effect on you? When you gain this profound self-understanding, you immediately stop being an easy target, elevating your play from simple checkers to the complex strategy of chess. Furthermore, mental mastery encompasses the critical ability to avoid taking things personally. This is an absolutely monumental shift. Most individuals navigate the world with a myriad of unaddressed emotional wounds, so when they encounter criticism, are ignored, or face direct challenges, these external events strike them far too deeply. However, when you have diligently undertaken the inner work, When you possess an unshakable sense of your own intrinsic worth and identity, such external slings and arrows simply don't land with the same force. You cultivate a profound sense of untouchability, not because you've become devoid of feeling, but because you refuse to allow fleeting emotions to dictate permanent, often regrettable, actions. There's a common misconception that being emotional equates to being weak. This is fundamentally untrue. Emotions are incredibly powerful forces, but only when you are consciously in charge of them, rather than the other way around. Emotional intelligence emerges as the true secret weapon in this regard. It signifies the ability to accurately read the nuanced atmosphere of a room, to intimately understand your own internal emotional state, and to skillfully regulate your responses in real time. It's akin to having a sophisticated control panel operating within your mind, allowing for precise adjustments, while everyone else around you is merely reacting on raw impulse. It is almost invariably the calmest person in the room who holds the most significant degree of actual control. Consider high-stakes professionals such as seasoned interrogators, expert negotiators, or elite performers in any demanding field. They are rigorously trained to deliberately slow their breath, to assume a posture of calm observation rather than impulsive reaction, and to maintain an unyielding composure regardless of the chaos erupting around them. This isn't born of mere luck. It is the direct result of intentional practice, meticulous preparation, and consistent discipline. You don't need to be part of law enforcement, the military, or an intelligence agency to cultivate this level of training. You can integrate it into your everyday life, starting right now. Begin by consciously observing your own thoughts. Watch how your mind might race and spin when someone challenges your ideas. Notice how your body instinctively reacts, a racing heart, clenched fists, shortened breath. This is your autonomic nervous system attempting to hijack your power. But if you can identify these signs in the very moment they occur and consciously intervene to take control, even if it's just by pausing and taking a single, deep, grounding breath, you have already won a crucial internal battle. That breath is everything. It represents the invaluable space between a stimulus and your response. It is precisely in this space that your true power resides. Outsmarting another individual is not ultimately about possessing a superior IQ or a more cutting wit. It is fundamentally about who can maintain their composure, who can perceive situations with absolute clarity even under immense pressure, who can listen deeply without feeling the incessant need to speak, and who is confident enough to allow silence to perform the heavy lifting in a conversation. Mental strength also encompasses the profound wisdom of knowing precisely when not to act. This is, without doubt, one of the most consistently underestimated forms of intelligence, true restraint. Most people operate under the assumption that the smart move is always the bold, immediate action, the clever retort, the mic drop moment that immediately silences an opponent. Yet, sometimes, the single most powerful thing you can do is to deliberately hold back, to allow others to underestimate your capabilities, to let a seemingly opportune moment pass, because your heightened awareness allows you to foresee a far better opening just around the corner. This is the very essence of where profound strategy lives, in stillness, in patient observation, and in acute awareness. When you achieve mastery over your own mind, you begin to perceive the intricate plays of interactions 3, 4, or even 5 moves ahead. You cease to be drawn into petty, unproductive arguments. You stop reacting impulsively to superficial noise, and you begin to quietly, yet powerfully, lead the room without uttering a single word. So, the next time you find yourself immersed in a high-pressure situation, pause and ask yourself these critical questions. Am I currently in control of myself, or am I being subtly controlled by external forces or my own emotions? And, am I thoughtfully responding to this situation, or am I merely reacting on impulse? The answers to these introspective questions will illuminate everything you need to know about who genuinely holds the power in that moment. Because true power does not always announce itself with a loud voice. Sometimes it simply watches, waits, and observes. The unshakable foundation, cultivating self-control. While many might believe that the ability to outsmart another person is solely a matter of superior intellect, cunning strategy, or some form of advanced psychological trickery, the reality is far more fundamental and, paradoxically, far more challenging to achieve. The true definitive edge, the quiet yet potent force that renders an individual genuinely powerful, is profound self-control. This doesn't simply mean knowing the right words to say or the correct actions to take. Far more critically, it's about discerning precisely when not to speak, when to refrain from acting, and, most essentially, how to master the one incredibly powerful tool that most people either ignore or misuse: their own mind. You possess limited control over the external world. You cannot dictate how others will treat you, what hurtful words they might utter, or how they attempt to push your emotional buttons. But what you can absolutely control, if you cultivate sufficient discipline, is your own internal response. And in the grand scheme of strategic interaction, that capacity for self-regulation is everything. Your mind, when wielded effectively, serves as your greatest weapon. Yet, if left untamed and uncontrolled, it can swiftly become your gravest liability. Should you lack the skill to harness its immense power, it will inevitably turn against you, leading you down impulsive paths you never consciously chose. It will react emotionally, impulsively, and defensively, often to your detriment. In those heated moments when you find yourself triggered, flustered, or rushing headlong into a response, you inevitably sacrifice your clarity of thought, lose your precision in action, and ultimately forfeit your power. Consider walking into a room where your intelligence, your authority, or your fundamental worth is openly questioned by someone. What is your immediate raw instinct? For the vast majority of people, it's an overwhelming urge to defend themselves vigorously, to push back forcefully, or to desperately try to prove their point. But what if you chose a different path? What if, instead, you remained utterly still? What if you allowed them to speak their piece, observed them with keen attention, and only chose to respond when the timing was absolutely impeccable and strategic? That is the essence of mental control. That is the fundamental difference between an individual who merely plays the game and one who decisively owns it. There is an ancient and profound saying: "He who angers you controls you." This isn't just a clever turn of phrase, it is an undeniable truth. The very instant another person possesses the ability to intentionally provoke a strong emotional reaction from you, be it anger, insecurity, embarrassment, or frustration, they have, in that moment, seized a measure of control over you. And they can, and often will, exploit that control to their advantage, frequently achieving their objective without having to utter many words at all. They can subtly shift your focus, cause you to second-guess yourself, or manipulate you into a reactionary behavior that ultimately makes you appear weak or unstable. And you, in the heat of the moment, might even believe it was your own spontaneous idea to react, when in reality, it was their calculated play. They outmaneuvered you because they possessed the one crucial advantage you lacked in that instant: emotional discipline. We inhabit a world that, regrettably, often rewards and even celebrates reactivity. Online platforms encourage quick clapbacks and impulsive responses. Snap judgments are often lauded as authenticity, and being real frequently serves as little more than a thinly veiled mask for uncontrolled impulsiveness. However, the individuals who genuinely wield enduring power, the kind that is not merely loud but profoundly lasting, are almost never reactive. They do not rush into ill-considered actions. They do not break their strategic silence unless and until it serves their overarching objectives. Crucially, they are not afraid of stillness. Stillness, ironically, makes most people deeply uncomfortable. We are conditioned to equate silence with weakness, with an absence of contribution. But strategic silence is, in fact, often the sharpest and most potent weapon available in any given interaction. It unnerves people, forcing them to nervously fill the void, to talk excessively, to reveal far too much information, all because they crave the reassurance of an immediate response from you. Yet, if you have meticulously trained your mind to be completely at ease within that profound silence, you automatically hold the upper hand. You effectively compel the other person to do the heavy lifting. You allow them to expose their true position, their underlying emotions, and their prospective next move. This is the critical insight. When your mind is quiet, truly quiet, you can actually hear with greater depth and see with remarkable clarity. You begin to pick up on subtle nuances of tone, precise shifts in posture, specific word choices, telltale hesitations. Details that others completely miss because their minds are too preoccupied with formulating their next clever comeback. This cultivated control grants you unparalleled access to deeper, more accurate information, enabling superior judgment and impeccably sharp timing. But it is vital to understand that this level of control does not manifest naturally. It is a rigorously trained habit, meticulously built one small, conscious moment at a time. You do not achieve mental strength by simply reading about it or engaging in theoretical discussions. You become mentally strong through consistent, deliberate practice. Each time someone attempts to bait you into an argument and you calmly walk away, that is a rep. Each time you hold your tongue in a moment of intense anger, that is a rep. Each time you maintain your quiet composure and self-possession while everyone else around you is losing their cool, those are your training reps. And with every successful navigation of such a test, your internal control strengthens exponentially. You progressively cease being reactive, you stop being predictable, and you transform into the kind of individual whom others must observe with extreme care because you never prematurely show your hand. You reveal no tells, and you remain unflustered under pressure. It's imperative to clarify. None of this advice advocates for the suppression of your feelings. Suppression is fundamentally different from control. Suppression is akin to pretending an emotion doesn't exist, pushing it down until it inevitably explodes with greater force. Control, on the other hand, is true power. Control involves consciously feeling the emotion, deeply understanding its roots and implications, and then choosing your response with deliberate intention. This is precisely why emotional intelligence is not merely a soft skill or a luxury, is an absolutely essential core competency. It forms the bedrock for every sound tactical decision you will ever make. If you are unable to genuinely understand what you are feeling or the underlying reasons for those emotions, you are destined to act out of fear, ego, or pride. And these, without question, are the most dangerous and unproductive emotional states from which to operate when the stakes are genuinely high. Consider a challenging scenario. Someone publicly confronts you, deliberately attempting to humiliate you. Every instinct in your body will scream for an immediate reaction. Your heart might begin to race, your breath could shorten, your jaw might clench tight. This is your nervous system instinctively triggering a primal fight or flight response. If you haven't trained yourself to catch these physiological and emotional cues, you will respond on autopilot, almost certainly saying something reactive that, while perhaps momentarily satisfying, will ultimately cost you respect or leverage in the long run. However, if you have diligently trained yourself to notice these subtle internal signs, to consciously slow your breath, to deliberately control the cadence of your voice, and to firmly ground your thoughts, you instantly regain your power. You make a conscious, deliberate choice. And that choice might be to respond with measured, calm clarity, or it might be to simply say nothing at all. Either way, you, and not the aggressor, are firmly in charge of the situation. This is the hidden superpower possessed by every truly strategic individual. Their unparalleled ability to maintain profound calm when all others are succumbing to chaos. They are not easily distracted by petty drama, nor are they pulled into pointless emotional games. And they most certainly do not relinquish control over something as paramount as their own mind. So, the crucial question you must continuously ask yourself is this: are you the kind of person who responds thoughtfully because it is necessary and effective? Or do you merely react impulsively because it has become a deeply ingrained habit? Most people, sadly, will never cultivate this profound level of mental control. It is inherently uncomfortable, it demands unwavering discipline, and it necessitates a radical degree of honesty with oneself. But if your aspiration is to truly outsmart anyone, if you seek to navigate life as a master strategist rather than a mere reactor, then this journey begins right here, with the uncompromising mastery over your own thoughts, your personal triggers, and your every response. Because once you achieve genuine mastery over your mind, every other challenge and opportunity in life becomes profoundly easier. You cease to be driven haphazardly by fleeting emotions and instead begin to execute your moves with absolute clarity and resolute intent. And when you reach that state, no one, not the loudest, not the most overtly confident, not even the most seasoned individual, will be able to rattle your composure. And that, unequivocally, is the definition of real, unshakable power. The art of reading people, seeing beyond the surface. It is a profound truth that individuals are constantly broadcasting who they are, often without uttering a single audible word. The unfortunate reality is that most people are simply not paying close enough attention to these rich, continuous streams of information. If your goal is to truly outsmart anyone, you cannot merely listen to the explicit words they speak. You must develop the heightened ability to read what they don't say. This involves discerning the subtle signals that lie beneath a seemingly innocuous smile, detecting the underlying hesitation masked by an effortless compliment, or sensing the unspoken tension hidden within a casual handshake. The art of outsmarting others is not about being the loudest, the physically strongest, or the fastest to react. It is fundamentally about cultivating a superior level of acute awareness. Human beings are, at their core, creatures driven by deep-seated habits, complex emotions, and the ever-present ego. Because of this intricate psychological makeup, they are constantly, almost inadvertently, leaking invaluable information. These leaks manifest in a myriad of forms, fleeting micro-expressions that cross their face in an instant, the nuanced positions and movements of their body language, the shifting tone and cadence of their voice, the subtle direction of their eye movements, and even the precise choice of words they employ. These are not random occurrences. They are coherent signals, revealing glimpses into an individual's true internal state. Every person, no matter how carefully guarded or outwardly composed, adheres to discernible patterns in their behavior. Once you acquire the skill to recognize and interpret these recurring patterns, you cease to navigate social and strategic interactions blindly. The game board becomes visible, and you gain a powerful advantage. Let's begin with the eyes, which are often poetically referred to as the windows to the soul. More accurately, they serve as undeniable windows to the mind. While individuals can easily feign a pleasant smile or convincingly imitate politeness, their eyes, almost without exception, rarely lie. Learn to watch for the subtle flicker of uncertainty, the brief but telling glance away when a direct question is posed, a delayed blink that suggests processing or fabrication, or a momentary narrowing of the gaze that occurs just a fraction of a second too late to be natural. These fleeting moments are not merely odd quirks, they are critical tells that reveal underlying truths. If someone vocally asserts their confidence, yet their eyes repeatedly dart towards the floor or nervously scan the room, what you are witnessing is not genuine confidence, but a carefully constructed performance. Pay meticulous attention to these seemingly minor details. Next, consider the voice, and I refer not to the explicit words, but to the tone with which they are delivered. Does the voice sound tight with tension, slightly shaky with nerves, overly controlled, or perhaps too rehearsed to be spontaneous? Is there an eagerness that feels unnatural? When someone is speaking to you, train yourself to listen not only to the content of their message, but also to how they articulate it. Are they unnecessarily over-explaining a simple point, suggesting they have something to hide? Are they pausing for an unusually long time before responding to straightforward questions, indicating they're fabricating a response? Are they speaking rapidly, attempting to fill silence or overwhelm you with information? Or are they speaking slowly and deliberately because they are calculating every single word and gesture? The speed, pitch, and rhythm of their speech are all valuable data points, each offering profound insight into their inner emotional landscape and strategic intentions. Crucially, most people only actively engage with communication when it is explicitly directed at them. This is a significant oversight. You will glean the most accurate and telling information about a person not when they are speaking directly to you, but when they believe they are not being observed, or when they are interacting with individuals they deem inconsequential. Observe carefully how someone treats a waiter in a restaurant, a receptionist, or any other person they might perceive as having no status or importance. This is often the unfiltered, authentic version of their character, stripped of the polished facade they present when they believe they are on stage or performing for an audience. That moment when their guard is genuinely down, that is where you will glimpse the unvarnished truth. However, it is vital to approach this art of reading people with nuance. It is not about making harsh judgments or assigning labels like good or bad individuals. Instead, it is about deep understanding. It is about decoding the complex tapestry of human behavior. For instance, if someone enters a room and immediately attempts to make themselves physically bigger, adopting a broad stance, speaking with a loud voice, and maintaining intense eye contact, they are very likely attempting to project dominance. But the crucial question is this a manifestation of genuine, deep-seated confidence? Or is it merely a compensatory mask for underlying insecurity? You will not find the answer to this by directly confronting them. You discover it by meticulously observing subtle details. Watch what happens to their demeanor and body language when a person of even greater perceived dominance enters the same room. Do they maintain their commanding frame, or do they subtly shrink back and recede? Indeed, people are perpetually wearing masks, and these masks are invariably constructed to shield something precious: fear, shame, vulnerability, or profound insecurity. Your role, therefore, is not to aggressively rip off these protective coverings. Instead, your objective is to cultivate the ability to see through them. Because once you can perceive what someone is diligently trying to conceal, you achieve remarkable clarity. You begin to understand their true motives, their fears, and their desires. This empowers you to cease reacting superficially to outward displays, and instead start responding thoughtfully to the deeper, underlying root causes of their behavior. Consider the complex act of lying, for instance. Most people assume that individuals who lie will instinctively avoid eye contact. This is not always the case. A highly practiced liar will often look you directly in the eye, sometimes for an unnaturally long duration, because they have been taught that this is what honesty looks like. But they frequently overdo it. The gaze becomes rigid and unblinking, which feels distinctly unnatural. And that is your crucial cue. Authentic eye contact is fluid. It moves, it breathes, it shifts naturally, rather than locking into an unyielding stare. When something feels subtly off in an interaction, learn to trust your gut instinct. Your subconscious mind processes vast amounts of information far more rapidly and intuitively than your conscious awareness. If your instincts signal something strange, it very likely is. Then there is the expansive realm of body language. Crossed arms, tightly clenched fists, feet pointed subtly toward the door, frequent shifts in posture. These movements are far from meaningless. They serve as potent indicators of where someone's true focus, attention, and energy are directed. For example, if someone's feet are pointed distinctly toward the exit, while they are ostensibly engaged and pretending to be deeply interested in your conversation, that person, regardless of their words, is mentally preparing to leave. Shoulders that imperceptibly rise when answering a question indicate tension, possibly rooted in anxiety. And a fake smile? you'll always spot it in the eyes. If the corners of the eyes don't crinkle, if the smile doesn't authentically reach them, then it is merely a superficial performance, not genuine warmth. It's also incredibly valuable to notice what doesn't happen. Someone who abruptly ceases gesturing with their hands, who freezes suddenly, or becomes unnaturally still, may very well be guarding something. Deceptive individuals often mistakenly believe that freezing their movements equates to maintaining control, but in reality, it often betrays intense internal stress. Honest individuals, by contrast, typically move naturally and expressively. Their thoughts and physical bodies are usually in fluid sync. When someone's spoken words convey one message, but their body language communicates another entirely, always trust the unspoken language of the body. Of course, the single most powerful and illuminating tool you can employ to read another human being is genuine, active listening. And I'm not referring to the superficial kind of listening where you are merely waiting for your turn to speak. I mean full, undistracted attention. No phones, no mental multitasking, just being completely present, grounded, and intentionally focused on the other person. You will be astonished by the sheer volume of information people willingly reveal when they truly feel seen and heard. Most individuals rarely experience that profound level of attention. Offer it to them, and they will, without even realizing it, tell you everything you need to know. People also reveal themselves profoundly through what they actively avoid, the topics they skillfully skip over, the phrases they employ to redirect or deflect the conversation, such as, "Let's not get into that. It's far too complicated," or "I don't really remember that detail." Pay close attention to the areas they refuse to venture into. That is often precisely where the most critical truths reside. And always remember this delicate balance. People want to be understood, but not everyone wishes to be exposed. When you read people too aggressively or overtly, they will inevitably feel threatened. This triggers a natural human response to retreat, shut down, or become highly defensive, thus cutting off your access to further information. Therefore, your approach should be to observe quietly, strategically, and with a non-judgmental stance, not with the intent to manipulate, but with the genuine desire to understand, to navigate complex interactions more effectively, and ultimately, to lead with greater insight. The ability to read people is not a one-time trick you learn. It is a profound lifestyle, a deeply ingrained mindset. The more consistently you practice this art of observation, the sharper and more intuitive you become. You begin to perceive potential developments before they even unfold. You start to anticipate reactions with remarkable accuracy. You might even find yourself knowing what someone is about to say before they vocalize it, not because you possess psychic abilities, but because you have meticulously trained your attention. You are attuned to the micro-movements, the underlying patterns, and the subtle energy shifts. You are, in essence, decoding the authentic human being behind the carefully crafted performance. And when you can consistently accomplish this, when you can confidently walk into any room, encounter any individual, and quickly ascertain who they truly are, what their desires are, and what their deepest fears might be, you no longer have to resort to guesswork. You no longer need to wonder if someone is being truthful or genuine with you. You already possess the inner knowing. This unparalleled level of clarity grants you a quiet, unshakable control. And that is the fundamental way you outsmart anyone. By seeing what others stubbornly refuse to see, and by knowing what they are unable or unwilling to admit, even to themselves. The power of strategic silence. In our modern world, which is increasingly saturated with incessant noise, a cacophony of opinions, endless debates, and constant, often impulsive reactions, silence often feels like an uncomfortable, empty void that instinctively demands to be filled. However, this common perception is precisely where most people miss a crucial strategic advantage. Silence, far from being empty, is a profound and potent form of power. When you master the art of employing it intentionally and with precise purpose, it transforms into one of the sharpest, most effective tools in your arsenal for influence and control. you cease the futile pursuit of control through a barrage of words and instead begin to command authority and guide interactions without needing to utter much at all. The undeniable truth is that the vast majority of people are genuinely terrified of silence. In the course of conversations, they instinctively rush to fill any perceived gaps, over-explaining their points, talking excessively, and often oversharing information they might later regret. Why do they do this? Because they operate under the flawed assumption that the individual who talks the most automatically holds the most control or possesses the greatest authority. Yet, the reality is precisely the opposite. The person who demonstrates the profound capacity to sit comfortably and unflinchingly in silence, the one who is genuinely at ease within that stillness, is invariably the one who is truly in charge. When you deliberately choose not to rush your response, you subtly compel the other person to wonder about your thoughts, your intentions, and your next move. And the very moment they begin to second-guess or speculate, they have lost their psychological footing, ceding a crucial advantage to you. Many equate silence with uncertainty or a lack of knowledge, but strategically deployed stillness at the opportune moment can project an aura of profound confidence and speaks far louder than any impassioned argument. Consider a situation where someone directs an insult at you, and you meet it with absolute silence. This non-response leaves them deeply unsettled and disoriented. Did their barb truly strike a nerve, or did you simply not care enough to dignify it with a reply? This deliberate ambiguity creates immense psychological pressure, fundamentally shifting the dynamic of the interaction. The person who launched the attack, expecting an immediate fiery reaction, is now forced to sit with the full weight of their own words and the unsettling calmness of your non-response. This reveals the first foundational principle of leveraging silence as a strategic tool. Use it to intentionally create space, a pregnant pause, that compels the other person to inadvertently reveal more about themselves. Whether you are engaged in high-stakes negotiations, a heated argument, a job interview, or even an interrogation, silence exerts a powerful psychological discomfort that drives people to fill the void. And when they speak into that silence, particularly under pressure, they often disclose far more than they originally intended. They might feel compelled to justify their positions unnecessarily, inadvertently tipping their hand and exposing their weaknesses. They often talk themselves into rhetorical corners, all simply because they couldn't tolerate the discomfort of a prolonged pause. This technique becomes even more potent when you strategically pair silence with precisely formulated questions. Strategic questions are not merely about eliciting information. Their deeper purpose is to subtly shift the energy of the conversation, to destabilize preconceived assumptions, and to open up avenues of discussion that others might have believed were firmly closed. The key is not to barrage someone with a multitude of questions, but rather to ask the right questions. Those incisive queries that delve beneath the superficial surface, interrupt an individual's pre-prepared script, and prompt them to genuinely pause and reflect, perhaps even thinking, "No one has ever asked me that before." A truly powerful question doesn't need to be complex. It only needs to be intentional and well-targeted. Simple yet profound questions like, "What makes you say that? What does that really mean to you?" Or "Why now?" are remarkably disarming. They are open enough to allow for a broad spectrum of responses, yet simultaneously pointed enough to induce discomfort if the person is attempting to conceal something significant. When these types of questions are followed by a deliberate period of silence, they become almost impossible for the other person to ignore or deflect. The sequence is crucial. Ask the powerful question and then wait. Most people, after asking a question, immediately feel compelled to rephrase it or even answer it themselves for the other person. Resist this urge. Instead, hold the space, allowing the silence to do the heavy lifting. There's a well-documented psychological effect at play here. When an individual hears a direct question and is then met with sustained silence, they experience an innate pressure to respond more comprehensively and thoughtfully. This pressure often compels them to dig deeper within themselves, to offer more nuanced explanations, even if they initially intended to provide a superficial answer. And if there is a particular truth they are actively trying to avoid or suppress, the longer the silence stretches, the exponentially harder it becomes for them to maintain that facade. Consider this principle in the context of negotiation. The individual who speaks first after a significant offer or proposal has been made is almost always at a disadvantage. Let's say you present a specific number or outline a detailed proposal, and then you intentionally fall silent. If the other person rushes to fill that void by immediately countering, justifying their own position, or attempting to modify your offer, you gain invaluable insights into their true position, their underlying priorities, and what aspects they are truly willing to concede or compromise on. Conversely, if you are the one who speaks first after making an offer, you might inadvertently reveal vulnerabilities or information you had no need to disclose. This is precisely why the most effective negotiators are not merely skilled speakers. They are masterful waiters. They are profoundly comfortable allowing a moment to hang, silently observing the rising tension while maintaining their own perfectly composed demeanor. Silence also serves a vital emotional function. In heated or emotionally charged situations, it can act as a powerful cooling mechanism. When you deliberately choose not to respond to someone's aggression or provocation, you effectively neutralize its intended impact. You deny them the emotional fuel they seek, and you avoid validating their outburst. In that profound stillness, they are forced to confront the baselessness of their own actions. People typically expect pushback, especially when they are being provocative or confrontational. But when you consistently deny them that expected reaction, when you simply hold your ground with quiet observation, it profoundly unbalances them. It forces them to wonder about your thoughts, your strategic planning, whether you are silently judging them or simply waiting for the optimal moment to make a decisive move. This brings us to another powerful function of silence. It creates crucial psychological distance. It compels individuals to step out of their immediate emotional momentum. A moment ago, they might have been riding high on a wave of anger, sarcasm, or manipulative intent. But now, they find themselves alone in a quiet pause. And in that pause, they are forced to reassess their entire approach. That is your strategic advantage. That is where profound clarity emerges. The inherent beauty of employing silence strategically is that it requires no specific status, title, or position of authority. You don't need to be a CEO or a highly ranked official to wield this power. You only need self-discipline, a quality most people conspicuously lack. They mistakenly equate silence with weakness. However, it requires an incredible, almost superhuman inner strength to remain still and composed when your ego is screaming for an immediate, reactive outburst. It demands true power to allow others to speak their minds while you quietly watch, meticulously assess, and steadfastly hold your position. Silence also serves as a crucial protective shield for yourself. When you speak excessively, you inevitably give away valuable information, your unfiltered thoughts, your biases, your emotional triggers, and your vulnerabilities. But when you maintain strategic silence, people often project their own assumptions and expectations onto you. They fill in the blanks with their own interpretations. They inadvertently reveal what they fear, what they expect, and what they secretly desire. And if you are listening with meticulous care, you will capture every single one of those invaluable clues. You will learn what genuinely motivates them, what truly rattles their composure, and what crucial information they are desperately trying to hide, all without having to utter a single word yourself. Strategic silence is not merely the absence of communication. It is, in fact, the profound elevation of it. It marks the moment when your silent, composed presence becomes infinitely more powerful and impactful than any words you could speak. And when you expertly pair this profound stillness with precise, disarming questions, you establish a unique conversational rhythm that keeps others perpetually off balance. They are unsure of what your next move will be, and they cannot accurately ascertain where you truly stand. And that, precisely, is the point of the exercise. In a world awash with incessant noise, the quietest person often possesses the most profound and encompassing control. The individual who can deliberately pause, patiently wait, and listen deeply without rushing to intervene, that is the one who perceives everything. That is the one who can, with remarkable consistency, outsmart anyone. Because while others are reacting impulsively and emotionally, you are carefully watching. While others are attempting to win with sheer volume and aggressive assertions, you are winning with unwavering patience and profound insight. Silence is not the absence of power. It is, in its purest form, the undeniable proof that you possess power without needing to make any noise at all. The conflict advantage: navigating disputes with power. Conflict is an undeniable and immutable aspect of the human experience. It is simply impossible to escape. Whether it manifests in the competitive landscape of business, the intricate dynamics of personal relationships, high-stakes negotiations, or even the subtle friction of day-to-day interactions, disagreements and challenges are bound to arise. People will inevitably challenge your ideas, express doubt in your capabilities, speak over you, and sometimes even overtly attempt to undermine or discredit you. However, here lies the critical secret. Conflict should not be perceived as an existential threat. Instead, it is a profound and often invaluable opportunity. It stands as one of the few arenas where genuine power is not just displayed, but actively forged and revealed. When approached and utilized correctly, conflict is not merely something to be endured or survived. It is a potent force that you can strategically leverage to elevate your position and rise above the fray. The instinctive reaction of most individuals is to either flee from conflict entirely or to desperately try and minimize its impact. They view it as inherently uncomfortable, potentially dangerous, something to be smoothed over, diffused, or simply avoided at all costs. This, however, is a fundamental strategic mistake. Because while they are preoccupied with sidestepping the tension and discomfort, a more astute individual is actively seizing control of that very tension. If you acquire the mastery of managing conflict strategically, without losing your mental composure, your emotional cool, or your clarity of thought, you gain the incredible ability to consistently flip the dynamic of any confrontation in your favor. Conflict, by its very nature, is a powerful truth teller. It reveals the authentic character and underlying motivations of people. When an individual is placed under significant pressure, their carefully constructed mask often slips, revealing their true ego, their deep-seated insecurities, and the presence or stark absence of a coherent strategy. If you possess the inner fortitude to remain grounded and unflustered in such moments, you don't merely survive the emotional storm, you actively own it, harnessing its energy. This, truly, is the essence of a strategic power play. Authentic power does not always manifest in overt aggression, thunderous declarations, or blatant dominance. Instead, real power is often subtle, characterized by unwavering control and an undeniable presence. When someone launches an attack against you, verbal or otherwise, and you meet it with an unflinching composure, a steady gaze, an unyielding posture, you have, in that very instant, already won the initial battle. Most people who instigate conflict anticipate an immediate, retaliatory response. They expect heat, anger, or defensiveness. Therefore, when you maintain your coolness, when your voice remains steady and even-toned, and your physical posture does not betray any shift, it forces them into an immediate recalibration. They had intended to provoke you, to drag you down into an emotional quagmire, but now they find themselves confronted by someone who simply refuses to engage on those terms, compelling them to fundamentally rethink their entire approach. Transforming conflict into a strategic power play does not equate to becoming passive or allowing yourself to be walked over. On the contrary, it demands extreme precision in your actions and responses. You deliberately refrain from reacting out of raw emotion. Instead, you choose to respond with clear, calculated intent. There is a vast and crucial difference between these two approaches. Emotional reactions are inherently predictable, often messy, and remarkably easy for manipulative individuals to exploit. Strategic responses, on the other hand, are carefully controlled, meticulously calculated, and carry significant weight and impact. Consider a scenario where you are in a meeting and someone publicly challenges your credibility, disparages your ideas, or questions your leadership abilities. The instinctive, knee-jerk reaction for most would be to immediately defend yourself, to fire back, and to match their aggressive energy. But this is precisely what they desire. It is their calculated setup. They want to draw you into a public sparring match because it grants them attention and, more importantly, makes you appear defensive and less confident. So, instead of engaging in their desired skirmish, you pause. You maintain steady eye contact. You allow the silence to stretch, creating a palpable tension. Then you speak slowly, deliberately, perhaps even with a genuine hint of curiosity in your tone. You might say, "That's an interesting perspective. What specific evidence or reasoning leads you to say that?" Or, "Let's unpack that thoroughly. Are you questioning the foundational strategy itself or the underlying data that informed its development?" In that singular moment, you have decisively shifted the entire power dynamic. You did not shy away from the conflict. Instead, you leaned into it, but entirely on your own terms. You reframed the interaction to be about objective clarity and critical analysis rather than subjective emotion. Now, the spotlight of justification is squarely on them. They are forced to substantiate their attack, to provide evidence or coherent arguments. And while they scramble to justify their position, you remain perfectly composed, intellectually sharp, and utterly unbothered. This is the subtle yet unmistakable movement of true power. Another pivotal key to transforming conflict into a power play is developing the ability to discern what the other person truly wants beneath the surface-level dispute. Conflict is almost never genuinely about what it ostensibly appears to be. People may argue passionately over minor details or specific points, but beneath these superficial contentions, the conflict is almost invariably rooted in deeper, more primal needs. A desire for respect, a craving for control, or an urgent need for recognition or validation. If someone persistently challenges you, their behavior might not be a genuine critique of your idea. It could very well be a manifestation of their own deep-seated need to feel important, heard, or affirmed. Once you are able to perceive this underlying context, you cease to be trapped in the superficial content of the conflict and begin to operate from a position of deeper strategic understanding. Sometimes, the most effective move in a conflict is not to directly engage in a prolonged battle, but to skillfully redirect the energy. You might allow the other person to exhaust their initial burst of aggressive energy, and then, at the opportune moment, gently pivot the conversation in a direction they did not anticipate. This allows you to regain control without ever taking their provocative bait. For example, if someone's being overtly combative in front of an audience, resist the urge to match their fiery intensity. Instead, calmly shift the collective attention back to tangible solutions or desired outcomes. You could say, "I understand your concerns, but for the sake of progress, let's refocus on what specific actions will help us achieve the result we both genuinely want." In doing so, you have effectively reframed the conflict from a personal attack to a strategic problem-solving exercise. And this repositioning instantly makes you appear as the rational, outcome-driven adult in the room, calm, focused, and purposeful. However, there will also be crucial moments when redirecting is not enough, when you absolutely must hold your ground firmly, when someone deliberately crosses a boundary or directly tests your limits. In these instances, the appropriate response is not aggression, but a powerful display of quiet authority. This means calling out the unacceptable behavior directly, but without a trace of emotion in your voice. Statements like, "That is not how I conduct business," or "If we are to collaborate effectively, mutual respect must flow in both directions," are incredibly impactful. You do not need to raise your voice or resort to shouting. You simply need to speak with absolute clarity and unwavering certainty. The tone of someone who has already made an unshakable decision about what they will and will not tolerate. And here lies a distinguishing characteristic that separates true power players from everyone else. They absolutely do not take conflict personally. Instead, they dispassionately analyze it, using it as a source of invaluable data. They understand that when someone actively tries to rattle their composure, that individual is inadvertently revealing their own strategic hand, their choice of words, their energy levels, their timing, their vulnerabilities. It is all a tell. Conflict, at its core, reveals patterns of behavior. And once you are adept at spotting these patterns, you gain an unparalleled ability to control the unfolding game. So, when conflict inevitably arises, resist the urge to shrink back in fear or to lash out in attack. Instead, observe closely, learn everything you can from the interaction, and then make your move with surgical precision. Every confrontation, no matter how minor, is a stage for demonstrating your strategic capabilities. Every insult is a revealing signal. Every attack is an opportunity, not to explode in anger, not to retreat in defeat, but to strategically position yourself for greater advantage. The person who can maintain absolute calm while everyone else around them is consumed by ego and raw emotion, that is the individual everyone truly watches. That is the one no one forgets. Mastering conflict means possessing the acute discernment to know precisely when to speak and when to maintain a potent silence. It means knowing when to assert your position forcefully and when to gracefully pivot, when to issue a direct challenge, and when to allow the unspoken language of silence to speak volumes on your behalf. Every unique situation demands a tailored approach, but the fundamental bedrock remains constant: unwavering control over your emotions, your energy, and the narrative you choose to construct. Conflict is an inherent part of life's journey, but you possess the ultimate agency to choose what it ultimately becomes for you: a mere distraction or a powerful demonstration of who you truly are, a debilitating setback or an elevated stage upon which to showcase your formidable strength. The next time someone attempts to shake your composure, don't merely survive the encounter, purposefully use it. Because true conflict does not diminish your inherent power, it powerfully reveals it. Playing chess, not checkers, the strategic mindset. The overwhelming majority of people navigate life as if they are engaged in a simple game of checkers, while the grand, complex reality of life is actually playing chess. They make their moves based solely on what is immediately apparent and directly in front of them, driven by impulsive emotional decisions, knee-jerk reactions, or whatever feels most comfortable or easiest in the fleeting moment. However, the individuals who truly succeed, the ones who consistently rise above challenges and limitations, operate with a fundamentally different approach. They think not just one, but 3 moves ahead, and often far more. They are not merely reacting to the present situation, they are already mentally positioned in the next phase, meticulously preparing for potential outcomes that haven't even registered in the minds of others. Playing checkers in a chess game is precisely how individuals become blindsided, falling victim to unforeseen consequences. They become engrossed in trivial details, obsessed with superficial short-term wins, and entirely lose sight of the much larger, intricate board at play. They pursue fleeting validation instead of cultivating enduring influence. They expend valuable energy defending themselves over inconsequential matters. They focus their efforts on winning petty arguments rather than strategically securing a superior position. This exemplifies short-term thinking. While such an approach might occasionally earn a few claps or provide a temporary minor advantage, it utterly fails to build genuine, lasting power. It does not render you untouchable, nor does it grant you profound, overarching control. Chess players, by contrast, possess a distinct and superior cognitive framework. They don't just ask the basic question, "What happens if I make this move?" Instead, Their minds are already contemplating, what will my opponent's likely countermove be? And then, what will my response be to that? How can I subtly leverage their anticipated actions to my ultimate advantage? This level of foresight demands extraordinary restraint and unwavering discipline. Thinking 3 or more moves ahead isn't simply about intellectual brilliance, it's about deeply ingrained strategic acumen. You must possess the inner strength to suppress the ego's insistent desire to achieve an immediate victory. And you must be willing to strategically lose a minor battle if it means decisively winning the larger war. This is precisely where most people falter. They cannot tolerate the inherent discomfort of holding back, of postponing gratification. They yearn to deliver an immediate clapback, to swiftly shut someone down, or to instantly prove their point. Yet, the most profound victories often emerge from maintaining a deliberate silence, from meticulous observation, and from patiently waiting for the single, most opportune moment to strike with devastating effect. Let's illustrate with a common scenario. Imagine someone disrespects you in a professional setting, publicly undermines your authority during a meeting, or challenges a decision you've made in front of your peers. A checker's move would be to react instantaneously, perhaps with indignation, to immediately assert that you are not to be trifled with. While this might temporarily satisfy your ego, it rarely serves your strategic outcome. What then does a chess move look like? It involves listening intently, deliberately choosing not to overreact, and even allowing them to believe, for a short period, that they have gained some ground. Then, days or perhaps weeks later, you subtly leverage your carefully cultivated influence and strategic position to execute a move that elevates your standing while simultaneously and indirectly exposing the pettiness of their initial action, all without ever explicitly calling them out. You outposition them through skillful maneuvering rather than attempting to out-yell them. That is chess. In the game of chess, every single piece possesses a unique role and moves according to specific rules. Not every move is designed for direct domination. Sometimes, the most brilliant strategy involves a calculated sacrifice. You might willingly give up something seemingly small in the present to unlock a far greater advantage or open up the board for a decisive play later on. This mirrors the mechanics of real power. It is not always loud or overt. Sometimes, it is exquisitely subtle, almost invisible in its execution, and precisely that subtlety makes it devastatingly effective. While others are reacting impulsively and emotionally, you are quietly setting elaborate traps. While they are chasing fleeting recognition and attention, you are diligently building unshakable leverage. Consider how this profound mindset applies across various facets of your life, in your personal relationships, your business ventures, and your negotiations. If you consistently think only one move at a time, you will perpetually find yourself in a defensive posture, always reacting to events and forever playing catch-up. But if you diligently train yourself to look further, to anticipate what happens next, and then what happens after that, you cease to be a reactive follower and transform into a proactive anticipator. This is the fundamental distinction that separates ordinary players from true masterminds. It is remarkably easy to underestimate the profound and consistent impact this strategic mindset can have on your outcomes. Take a simple conversation, for example. Most people enter a discussion preoccupied with the thought, "What do I want to say?" But the strategic mind approaches it with a deeper intent. How do I want them to feel at the conclusion of this exchange? What specific reaction am I aiming to elicit? And what precise sequence of ideas and statements will most effectively guide them to that desired emotional or intellectual conclusion? This represents a fundamentally different approach. You stop speaking simply for the sake of speaking, and you begin communicating with a clear, calculated effect. You subtly guide people toward your intended conclusion, allowing them to feel as though they arrived at it entirely on their own volition. This is not manipulation in a negative sense. It is a profound display of interpersonal mastery. Now, apply this principle to critical decision-making. Let's say you are presented with an opportunity that, on the surface, appears incredibly attractive. Perhaps it promises more money, greater visibility, or enhanced status. Checkers' move would be an enthusiastic yes, because naturally, why wouldn't you seize such an obvious boon? However, the chess thinker poses an entirely different set of questions. They ask, what will this opportunity truly cost me 5 years down the line? What values or entities does it implicitly align me with? Who will it position me alongside? What other, potentially more valuable doors might it inadvertently close while this one opens? The strategic individual is not merely contemplating the immediate opportunity itself. They are meticulously analyzing the entire surrounding ecosystem, considering all potential ripple effects and long-term consequences. And sometimes, this foresight leads them to make the seemingly counterintuitive decision to say no to something genuinely good right now, so that they can remain open and positioned to say yes to something truly great in the future. This strategic foresight is also your most robust form of self-protection. If you consistently cultivate the ability to see 3 moves ahead, you become significantly less susceptible to manipulation, less likely to be caught off guard, and far more difficult to play. Others might attempt to bait you, test your resolve, or back you into a corner. But if you have trained yourself to pause, to calmly scan the entire board of interaction instead of reacting impulsively, you will begin to discern their patterns. You will recognize their setups long before they fully unfold. You will learn to smell their true motives, not just interpret their superficial messages. This makes you a formidable presence, outwardly calm but internally dangerous. And we must not overlook the paramount importance of timing. A significant component of thinking 3 moves ahead involves knowing precisely when not to move at all. This is arguably one of the most arduous lessons to master. You do not always have to respond immediately. You do not have to take action today. Sometimes the smartest, most powerful move is to simply wait, to allow others to underestimate your capabilities, to permit them to believe they have already secured a victory, all while you are quietly and methodically laying down your next 5 strategic steps. That level of calculated restraint is exceedingly rare, but when you possess it, you are operating on a fundamentally different, far superior level of play. Everything in your world undergoes a profound transformation when you shift your mindset from a pursuit of short-term wins to a focus on long-term positional advantage. You cease living moment to moment, impulsively reacting to each individual event. Instead, you begin to play the entire board with a holistic understanding of all its interconnected dynamics. You transcend mere reactivity and become intentional, laser-focused, and supremely tactical. And when others eventually realize that you are not just considering what is happening now, but also what happens next, and next, and next, they will naturally cease trying to outplay you. Because, deep down, they will instinctively understand that they are still fumbling with checkers, while you are already 10 moves ahead in a sophisticated game of chess. In a world where everyone is frantically rushing to speak, to react, to win fast and loud, you will deliberately choose the opposite path. You will slow down your internal rhythm, listen with greater intensity, see with profound depth, and move with unparalleled strategic intelligence. You will consciously stop playing checkers with individuals who don't even comprehend the intricate rules of the complex game you are mastering. Because this journey isn't about out-talking anyone, or even about overpowering them with aggression. It is about outthinking them, outpositioning them, and ultimately outsmarting them with elegant precision. The most genuinely powerful individuals in any room are seldom the loudest. They are the ones who possess the discerning wisdom to know precisely when to speak and when to maintain a potent silence, when to assert their will and when to patiently wait for the optimal moment. They play for enduring position and strategic advantage, not for fleeting attention. They think not merely 1 step ahead, but 3, 4, or even more. And because of this profound strategic acumen, they never have to chase power. Power, inevitably, seeks them out and gravitates towards them. So, here is the unvarnished truth. If your aspiration is to consistently outsmart anyone, It is not primarily about being the most formally educated or the most extensively experienced person in the room. It is fundamentally about being the most acutely aware, the most emotionally disciplined, and the most meticulously prepared. Your path to dominance lies in mastering your own mind, cultivating the ability to instinctively read the subtle dynamics of any room, wielding strategic silence with the precision of a finely honed blade, transforming conflict from a threat into a powerful catalyst for your growth, and consistently thinking far beyond the immediate moment. That is how you achieve victory without ever needing to crush or demean anyone else. That is how you evolve into an individual who simply cannot be shaken, effectively baited, or ultimately broken. Stop reacting impulsively. Start strategizing with deliberate intent. This isn't about playing harder, it is about playing infinitely smarter. Checkmate.